It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. What's happening, everybody? Geno Jones Showtime. How we doing? So I come to you live Monday through Friday. That's right, live and in living color Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles, 1:30 p.m. if you're chilling out in Maui, the beautiful island, well, the Hawaiian Islands. I forgot which one. I forgot which specific island Maui is on, but it's in Hawaii. How about that? Please, you and everybody you know and don't know, everybody that you like, that you love, folks you can't stand, folks you really kind of hate, strangers, aliens from outer space, I don't give a damn, tell them all. The biggest, the best, the baddest, most compelling, entertaining, funny, relevant, but real, informative, educational, enlightening, inspiring show on any kind of TV, YouTube, or whatever channel. It's the Geno Jones Show, and I say that with all modesty and humility. So let me first of all, let me shout out my Scorpios. Let me get this out the way before I come with this heat and my guest, regular contributor to the Geno Jones Show, our political consultant, Mr. A.J. Davis. And you know he is coming with both blowtorches. He's about to light it up. Happy birthday, Scorpios. Cornell Hayes Jr. Al, you're saying, okay, Cornell Hayes Jr., who's that? Nelly. Happy birthday, Nelly. Nelly, 48 today, and Stevie Jordan. Okay, you're saying, Geno, who is Stevie Jordan? Is he related? Michael Jordan's first cousin? Not exactly. Stevie J, a record producer, really one of underrated brothers, a producer. A lot of hits back in the 90s. He did a lot of work with Diddy, Puffy, Sean, Love. You know, he changed his name every 30 minutes, so I don't know what his damn name is today. Sean Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs. He worked with him, produced a lot of hits. Stevie J, also reality TV personality, reality TV show personality. Stevie J is, and him and Faith Evans had got married, and now I think Faith, she wants a divorce, trying to get a divorce because something happened, I think, with another woman, and he was like begging. He was like Lenny Williams, please, please, baby, 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 please. Anyway, Stevie J, 51 today, and a very special birthday to my baby girl, Alexandria Nicole Jones. We call her Allie. Daddy calls her Allie. Happy 21st birthday. Allie, you are the sunshine of my life. You are the wind beneath my wings. You are the air I breathe. You are the water that I drink. You are my inspiration for waking up every morning. You inspire me to strive toward greatness, to be the best dad, husband, father, brother, and person that I can be. I love you more than life itself. And you will always be Daddy's baby girl. Forever and not just a day, forever and 366 days and a week on top of that. I love you so, so very much. Have a great birthday. And I got through this and I didn't cry. I got my tears out the way earlier, so. Happy birthday, baby girl. All right, let me just cut through the chase. So we got 6 days until Election Day. That's going to be next Tuesday, November 8th. Early voting has already started. So I want to talk to the brothers and the sisters in the barbershops and the beauty salons or hair salons. Because, you know, you got like the beauty in the hood, they're like the beauty shops. But, you know, once we, you know, get a little sophisticated, get some money, you know, move into like different little neighborhoods where you got supermarkets and strip malls, they're not necessarily beauty, like beauty shops. They are salons. But, you know, when I was a kid, it was the barbershop and the beauty shop. This is specifically black people, I'm talking to you, but white folks, white people, I'm talking to you, Hispanic brothers and sisters, Asian American brothers and sisters, Native brothers and sisters, Hispanic, you name it, all the different ethnicities and this thing that we call whiteness. I'm talking to y'all too. Listen to what I'm saying. But specifically, I'm gonna have that talk. I'm in the barber shop. We sitting around the house, you know, watching the game, but it's a commercial, and we got the TV on mute, and we having this conversation. You hear this talk about our democracy, which is very flawed. It's really never been a full democracy for black folks, and I get it. But man, if you think it's bad now, so let me explain something to you. If you really lose this democracy as we know it, so if you're worried about the economy, and you're worried about like gas prices, well, keep in mind, those gas prices are dropping, all right? President Biden released another 15 million barrels of oil about a month ago. While y'all was hating on him, gas prices dropped, all right? So when you lose a democracy, if you don't have a democracy, you won't have an economy. Hell, you won't have an economy that works for working class, middle class, many financially working middle class people, upper middle class economically. Now, you lose your democracy, you won't have an economy. You're talking about crime. Now keep in mind, the same people that are talking about crime, these are the same people who are putting more guns on the street, that want to allow every 18-year-old, regardless of how unstable they are, to get an assault weapon, some type of AR-15 style weapon, and go up to a school or go to a supermarket in an all-black neighborhood just because they're racist, or they're mad because they got bullied or because a girl wouldn't date them, and shoot up the school. But the same people that want to put guns on the street, they want to cut money for community policing that can really develop and build a trust and a relationship between the people who are supposed to protect and serve and those people who are supposed to be protected and served. So with no economy, I just want you to think about the people who think the best way to reduce gas prices and inflation. Remember, gas prices are going down. Like I said, have you bought gas in the last month or so? Yeah, you know. Now, I don't hear you cheering about that, but I don't hear you talking about gas prices. And the whole MAGA cult, they are not talking about gas prices. Why? Because gas prices are dropping. But the same people who think that the best way to reduce gas prices or grocery prices is to allow price gouging, because we've had that, and to give millionaires, billionaires, and large corporations another tax break. I want to say, if it wasn't Exxon, it was one of the major oil companies just set a record the last quarter. So quarter is three months. $19.7 billion they made in 3 months. $20 billion in 1 month. Now, I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. I'm not knocking capitalism. But why is it these companies, even in the pandemic, when the planet was shut down and they were firing people and laying people off, many of these companies made more money. They were making the largest profits that they ever had, but they still had to lay people off. Come on, man. Don't pee on me and tell me it's rain. I know a con when I see one. I know when somebody's trying to hustle me. Game, recognize game. That's not only the title of my book about relationships. That's real talk, as they say. That's what we say in the community, in the hood, back in the day, or even today. Game, recognize game. So be very careful, the people who think the best way to reduce inflation, because like Barack Obama. So when you hear this MAGA cult talking about inflation, and Biden has really, for the most part, done as much as he could, because I really believe personally, now this is just me, you can call it a conspiracy theory or whatever. This is just, I wouldn't be surprised. I have to wonder How is it these companies have been making record profits, so many, through even when we were in the middle of the pandemic? Now I get the oil supply chain because there was such a demand because people they just had all this energy and they saved money, and the government, we helped people out, and we gave them like COVID relief money, checks, and the whole 9 yards, and child tax credits, and that money was spent. So initially, these companies say, well, we couldn't get enough inventory in to meet the demand of the consumer. Well, I don't hear anybody talking about supply chain shortages. When I go to the supermarket, I was just in there today, 2 hours before showtime, and spent too much money, way more than I should have. And there was not a shortage of anything. Whatever you wanted, you could get it. Wasn't a shortage of fish or chicken or toilet paper. Anything you wanted. All the shelves were stocked. So the people who don't want to stop price gouging, that want to give billionaires, corporations tax cuts, that want to put more guns on the street and allow, like I said, any deranged or any 18-year-old racist or mentally unstable or just angry teenager to go purchase a weapon, put more guns on the street, but go ahead and cut money for that, like I said, for community policing. Oh, that's the same crowd that wants to cut your Social Security. Now, let me just say this, and I'm going to bring on my guest, because I really want to get on this rant. My mother's watching me right now. My mother worked from the time she was a teenager, like jobs, where they took out Social Security out of her check, every pay period. My mother has worked hard. She's got a birthday coming up. She's in her 70s. That is her money. Nobody is giving her anything. That's her money. They took it out of her check, and the government promised her that when she retired, that money, her money, she would have access to it. She could have it. She could have access to it. That's what happens when two words come out at the same time. But now this whole MAGA cult, they want to cut Social Security, Medicare, the health benefits that our seniors, that they have earned, Medicaid, for and working primarily. The majority of people on Medicaid are children. So you want to cut health care for poor children and take that money. Oh, let's give it to the billionaires. Yeah, that's the solution to everything. Oh, reduce inflation, reduce crime. How do we do that? Oh, create more jobs. Well, let's give these companies and these billionaires a bigger tax cut. It has never worked. It hadn't worked, and it will never work. So if you are collecting Social Security, or if you're in your 50s and you may be thinking about it, or you may have an elderly parent or grandparent that's on Social Security, be careful. Don't vote for the people who want to take away your mother, your grandparents, your grandfather, your dads, or your Social Security. Because you know what we had before Social Security for elderly people? Living in poverty. They used to call it, back in the day, my grandparents would call it the poorhouse. Literally. Just be careful. Let me bring on my guest, because I'm on one today. I'm on one every day. He's going to be on one too. Election day, 6 days away. Early voting is going on here in South Carolina and virtually all across America. He is the co-founder of Community Solutions Consulting, and he is also a community advocate am I leaving out one? Let me just check. Black Parents Association. That's very important. And me being a black parent, y'all know how I feel about parenthood. So let me not waste any more time. There's my man right there. Pam Powell. Ladies and gentlemen, this man here is a force of nature. And he's coming with the receipts, the knowledge, the compassion, empathy, humanity, but with the courage to speak truth to power and to educate you, brothers and sisters in the barbershop and beauty salon, brothers and sisters of all shades, ethnicities. Because, like I've told you, this whole whiteness concept is made up and it was created so a small handful of people could control social, economic, and political power. Because if you ever get a DNA test and the DNA test comes back, you won't say, "Oh, you're like 85% white." No, don't come back and say, don't say you're white or black. That's just real talk. AJ, how we doing,
What's
man?
going on? What's going on, brother Geno? How you doing?
Hey, I
man?
know the struggle is real. Thank you for being patient, man. I just, I was on one. I'm
Hey,
just
no need
trying.
to apologize.
I just want people, all jokes aside, I am very serious, and I know you're going to amplify this. If some people may hear this term democracy, and you might sound too academic, or, it's like, I cannot touch democracy. I promise you, if you lose it, a loss of fascism will touch you. And if you don't believe me, just read a history book. About 100 years ago in Europe, you had a lot of the same forces and the same kind of we don't accept losing elections and questioning elections. Everything that we are seeing here in America, it was happening over in Germany. Now, you can say what you want. You don't have to like what I said. But you can not like the truth or not, but the truth is the truth. So be very careful. We are living in some very precarious times. AJ, you've got the floor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Once again, thank you, Geno. Thank you for extending your platform to me to be able to come on and share with the people what I have and share with the people what they need. In your monologue, you touched on quite a few things that I think folks need to pay attention to. You spoke about inflation, you spoke about Social Security and the need to protect our elders and our futures, and especially in the Black community where we oftentimes are the caregivers of our elderly parents and elderly family members who are oftentimes dependent upon Social Security for their subsistence. Um, we need to acknowledge right now, without any hesitation, that the current Republican Party is and will, not maybe, will dismantle Social Security. In fact, I want to paint a picture for your viewing audience to let them know that we are watching in real time the wholesale dismantling of the social safety net of America. This past summer, we saw the rollback of Roe v. Wade, a 50-year legislative precedent that gave women, think about that, women the right to bodily autonomy. Think about that. Just 50 years ago, we had to have a Supreme Court precedent to give women in the modern era the ability. It's 1972, folks, for folks who can't do the math. 1972, all right? There are people who are alive who were adults when this decision came down. And we have seen that decision undone, something that at the time that it came about, people thought would never happen. And yet, in the summer of 2022, it has. This week, which it was forecast by all of the legal experts and scholars, the Supreme Court is taking up affirmative action. That was on the docket starting in Monday. And by all accounts, just like with Roe v. Wade, the court is leaning towards the elimination of one of the main provisions of the Affirmative Action Act, which is race-based admissions into colleges and universities. And for people who may question, well, what does this mean for affirmative action in general? Well, once you start dismantling legislation, you pretty much weaken the argument for why that legislation exists in the first place. So taking one part out, you then make the case, especially in a conservative majority court, that, oh, well, if this is no longer necessary, then why do we need the rest? And for African Americans and other minorities, this is going to be extremely important. But I want to share something with the viewing audience, many of whom may not necessarily be a part of the racial majority of white folks. White women have been the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action since it was enacted. And just like with Roe v. Wade, what is happening is the systematic and strategic removal of all progressive forms of legislation. Here we sit in a critical, I cannot say it enough, a critical midterm election year where we're not only seeing record early voting turnout, but we are seeing, I would dare say, civil rights era and even slave era tactics on the part of the political establishment. Right wing politics has shown its ugly face. And if we thought what we saw on January 6th, 2021 was horrific, continue watching these midterm elections and these local elections. Right now, what's on the ballot is the validity of the term the United States of America. Sorry, I'm outside, so
It's all good.
looks like somebody's getting ready to take a trip. I hope everything is okay.
Me and you both.
Yeah.
And shout
But
out to those Burke
that,
Bulldogs. Burke Bulldogs. Burke High School is a
yes,
legendary
sir.
high school here in the Charleston, South
Yes.
Carolina metro. Uh, just
Yeah.
incredible legacy.
But that ambulance siren is fitting because that's the sound the alarm on not just democracy but the way of life for most of us who are not a part of the wealthy elite.
Yes.
Literally, that's what's on the ballot this year. We have to recognize that everything, our quality of life, we talk about inflation, but let's also talk about cost of living. Let's talk about workers' rights. Let's talk about housing affordability and access. There's a whole list of things that we can go down, and all of those things, whether the media chooses to cover it or not, are on the ballot. And if you are looking at who you should vote for, if the people, especially if you're black, if the people who are asking you for your vote are not talking about those things, those are not the people that you need to vote for. Here in South Carolina, I want to reemphasize the importance of people. If you are not going to take advantage of early voting, at least go check out what your sample ballot looks like. www.s as in Sam, C as in cat, votes.gov. scvotes.gov is the resource if you are a South Carolina voter to go check out your sample ballot. And the reason why that's important is because while we all have the privilege of voting, we don't all necessarily vote on the same offices. However, there are some general offices that every South Carolina resident will vote on. That's the office of the governor and lieutenant governor. And on the ballot for this year, you have Henry McMaster and Pamela Yvette, I think, as the Republican candidates. Bruce Reeves and Jessica Etheridge are the Libertarian candidates, and Joe Cunningham and Tally Casey are the Democratic candidates. So realistically speaking, it's going to be between Henry McMaster and Joe Cunningham at the top of the ticket for governor. Secretary of State. I don't have to do is look next door to Georgia to see how important the office of Secretary of
Yes.
State is. The current governor of the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp, was the former Secretary of State. And in getting his office, he engaged in some very unscrupulous tactics, purging voter rolls, votes that would have inevitably gone for his opponent,
Yes.
Stacey Abrams. But we have in South Carolina, Secretary of State, two individuals on that ticket, Mark Hammond, the current incumbent Republican, and Rosamunda Butler, which is the Democrat. Just for people who may not know, Mark Hammond has been the Secretary of State of South Carolina since 2002. What does the Secretary of State do? They oversee election results and the voting mechanism. They also manage the business services department for the state as well. So if you file for an LLC, nonprofit, whatever, that goes through that office. So a very critical office. Also on the ticket is the state treasurer. Currently, the incumbent, Curtis Loftus, is a multi-term incumbent. He is challenged by Sarah Work. Sarah Work is from the Alliance Party. Now, people who keep saying that, oh, we only have Republicans and Democrats, pay attention to your ballot, because the Alliance Party is one of those third parties that we have access to here in South Carolina. Another key office that goes unnoticed, Attorney General. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson is unfortunately unopposed. You can write in, but explaining why the office of Attorney General is important. That is the top cop of the state. Alan Wilson is also noted as the son of current U.S. Representative Joe Wilson. For those who may not remember, Joe Wilson was the UI representative. Alan Wilson is his son.
Didn't know that.
All right.
Wow.
Alan Wilson also made South Carolina one of 6 plaintiffs in the lawsuit against President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. There's 6 states that sued. South Carolina is one. And you can thank Alan Wilson for that. All right. Your next office, general office that everybody will vote for, is Comptroller General. To be honest, that's one of those technical offices. There is a incumbent, Richard Ekstrom. He's a Republican. Again, I encourage folks to research these offices to make sure you understand what they stand for. Another key for Black folks, this is probably the second or third most key office on the ballot this year, State Superintendent of Education.
Yes.
For Black folks, we've been raised with the mantra that education is the pathway to success in life. And so the person who will oversee the educational system in this state is one of the key people that we need to pay attention to. Currently, you have 3 people running. Patricia Mickle from the Green Party, another third party here in South Carolina. Ellen Weaver, the controversial Republican candidate who did not have, and still in the minds of many, does not have the basic qualifications for the office. She is also funded by a tremendous amount of outside money and heavy-hitting conservative groups. I think to date, U.S. Senator Tim Scott, former Governor Nikki Haley, U.S. Representative Nancy Mace have all come out in support and endorsing her, as well as current Governor Henry McMaster. She is being challenged by current classroom teacher and grassroots education organization founder, Lisa Ellis. Lisa Ellis, you will see her name twice. You can select only one. So if you see her name twice, just select whichever party you want to vote for her under. She is running under both the Alliance Party and the Democratic Party. Okay. But it's important for you to just select one time, because if you do otherwise, that will make your ballot fraudulent. All right. When we go down, we've got Commissioner of Agriculture, another key office that is more than what people think. So in addition to overseeing the industry of farming and things of that nature, anytime you're at the gas station and you're pumping your gas, look at those stickers that are on the gas tanks. Gas and other industries are regulated by the Commissioner of Agriculture in this state. Currently, Hugh Weathers, the Republican, is the incumbent. He is challenged by 2 people, David Edmond and Chris Nellens. Again, these are all state offices that we can all vote for. And then the last statewide office that we will all have the opportunity to vote for on our ballot, okay, is going to be U.S. Senate. Key race between Senator Tim Scott, the incumbent who has been in office since 2013, and current state representative Crystal Matthews. Tim Scott, of course, is the incumbent Republican. Representative Matthews is the Democratic challenger. And for folks who looked at Lindsey Graham as proof positive as to why we need to pay attention to our local elections. We have another opportunity to get it right by voting out Senator Scott in
Yes.
favor of progressive and energetic and people focused Representative Crystal Matthews. And so that rounds out what I call the general ballot that everybody will vote on. Now, please understand, when you check your sample ballot, everything after that may be different. You will all vote for your U.S. Representative. You may be in an area where your U.S. representative may be different than mine, because there are 7 congressional districts in South Carolina. I currently sit in District 6. Some folks sit in District 1. They may live in Charleston. So understanding that, you will also, if you're in Charleston County, you will be voting for a probate judge,
Yes.
as well as a register of deeds. Probate judge between Irv Condon, the Republican incumbent, and Tamara Curry, the Democratic challenger. Personally, I am going with Judge Curry. She's been out there and she's been introducing the office of probate judge to the community, our community, in a way that has not been done before.
Yes. And she's been a guest on the show. So she has my full
Right.
support also.
But again, as you get down further down into your ticket, you will see others for Charleston County, Berkeley County, and Dorchester County. You will have school board seats on your ballot. And that's where you're going to have to understand your area and whether or not those individuals campaigning have made an impact in communicating their policies and platforms with you. Now, at the bottom of the ballot, for folks who may not know, there's a statewide constitutional amendment. And basically, this amendment is asking to increase the General Reserve Fund from 5% to 7%. What that means, South Carolina, like many states, you have to have a rainy day fund, right? That's a solid practice that individuals should have,
Yes.
all right? So they're asking to increase the reserve fund from 5% to 7%. And then the capital fund, which funds the reserve fund, they're asking to increase that from the previous year's revenue from 2% to 3%. Vote yes on both of those. Those are necessary for the operations of the state. I understand that sometimes it can be confusing to folks. It seems like, oh, what is this all about?
Yes.
But no, those two amendments to the Constitution, they will be constitutional amendments, are for the health of our state. So that rounds out what you probably are going to see in the ballot. I know we're running out of time, but I want to leave and close with this. Please do not take this as every other time that you vote. Please do not take this as just another year to vote. Please understand that we have seen a wholesale insurrection. We have lived through the presidency of Donald Trump. How many people had that on their lifetime bingo card? We are watching the renaissance of racism and discrimination, the likes of which our parents and grandparents experienced. The only difference is now we can capture it in real time with social media. For Black people, for white people, for Hispanic people, for my LGBTQI, my disabled people, we have to come together and we have to truly make the term united mean something this year at the polls. It doesn't mean that you're going to love every candidate. That's not what voting is about. You're not building a relationship. You are giving permission for folks to carry your agenda into the halls of whatever legislative body they're going to be in and represent you to the best of their ability. So I implore all of you, make these conversations constant and consistent. Talk with your friends, talk with your family, talk with your young people. Make sure your older people, our older people are the most consistent voting bloc. This year, make sure you go out with them to ensure that they know where they need to vote and that you're there with them to answer any questions. It is a priority, and I can't emphasize it enough. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Geno.
AJ, I couldn't have put it any better. Why don't you give everybody your social media platform information where they can follow you if they want to get some other guidance or maybe some recommendations on who they should vote for after listening to you. Give everybody all that social media information.
Sure. Currently I'm on Facebook as Anjane Davis, Anjene. I'm on Twitter right now until Elon Musk kicks me off at
You and me both.
Anjane, 1976, the year. And I'm on TikTok as Anjane Davis, where I upload my social commentary as well.
All right. AJ Davis, thank you, my friend. So let's talk next week. Next Tuesday is Election Day. I'd love to have you come on for a few minutes and we could kind of get a gauge for what the days look like. Early voting, there have been records set in early voting in every state. And in all the states, all the data that I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, that primarily the Democrats have been leading in terms of the amount of people, voters, that have voted early. But we still have election day. So we need everybody to vote early, but we need everybody, especially our young people, because this is going to, if you lose this democracy, some stuff is going to hit you, and you want to know what happened, and you think you're like in a movie. You'll think you're like watching 12 Years a Slave or Django in 2023. I'm not joking, and AJ will back me up on this. So trust me, you don't want to lose this democracy. AJ Davis, thank you. We'll see you next week. Appreciate you, brother. Always.
All right.
My man is a force of nature. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, Kel, Kelbe, Cuttinup. Allie Jones, the official wardrobe consultant, stylist, and birthday girl. Official stylist, wardrobe consultant for the Geno Jones Show. She's on Instagram, lx.ncl_. lx.ncl_. And Bruce Gage, also wardrobe consultant stylist, the Mario Uomo collection. We got it right here. You see Mario Uomo right there. Check him out on Instagram, Miglio D Mario Uomo, MIGILIODI, MARIOUOMO. President Biden is speaking right now. I'm going to let everybody go watch President Biden. If you missed some of this show, go back and binge watch this and all my back episodes. I love all you all so much. Mother, I love you more than life itself. I leave you with these words. As always, be blessed, pray for peace, pray for this democracy, and the next live edition of the Geno Jones Show, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.